Well, hey, Stacey. No, I wasn't even gonna go there, but
Yeah,
since
you're
you put
going
the
there.
hand up, I will. How does it feel to lose at foosball?
How does it feel to get another partner for you on the show? Okay.
It was just one game. I
You know,
can't
here's the
claim
deal.
champion.
Here's why I'm a little upset. I'm not totally upset that you beat my pants off at foosball before we started this whole thing today. I'm upset because I didn't know there was foosball. Because when there's foosball, I get really into it.
Yeah,
And after you beat me 9-3, I was sweating like crazy. And I
yeah.
had to like take a mini shower up there in the dressing room because I'm like, I'm going to stink this whole
We
day.
wanted to make this place fun,
It
so
is fun.
we found the foosball table. I built the legs for it, bought the foosballs, and here we
It
are.
was good. Our guest today, I'm so excited. I told Jason you were a surprise guest.
Surprise guest.
Katelyn Lyster. So Lyster. So my full name is Stacey Powells Lyster. So
Yes.
we're
This would
related.
be Dan's daughter.
Yes, Dan's oldest daughter, Katelyn, is in town, and I'm thinking, oh man, we didn't have the 12 o'clock spot was filled. The person canceled, and so now last night, and you guys, what were you watching on television last night? You and your husband to be,
Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth.
On Netflix.
Yes, and so I said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you want to get out of the house?" And her getting out of the house is a good thing because she's got a 7-month-old. It's Zayden.
Adorable.
Oh, he's so
That
cute.
picture you sent the other day when I was having my tea just really cheered me up, made my day.
He is really adorable, and he is everywhere. But he's all about mom.
Yeah.
You know, mom puts him to sleep. Mom does this, mom did that. And mom's like, I need a break. So how about doing a TV show? That'll be a good break for you. So Caitlin's up here because she's getting married
Woo!
on
June
the
Lake
property.
on the beach, right?
And then the reception at our house. Yep.
So are you guys doing it at the same place, the same beach?
It will be pretty similar to
Pretty
the
close.
location we
Down,
got married.
down a little bit
Down a
more.
little bit more?
Yeah, down a little bit more. Yeah,
Well,
it's going to be
congratulations. That's so cool.
Thank
it's going to be exciting. We got a whole bunch of family coming in starting
Family and friends
Yeah.
arriving, starting like a
Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah,
Wow.
a whole bunch of and so here's what's cool about having you on the show. First of all, I got to say, when there are blended marriages all over the place, and I remember when my mom first got her second husband Stanley after my dad died, he had 3 daughters, and they were so incredibly mean to her. I mean, just mean and nasty, and I really wanted to sock them in the head. I mean, that's how mean and nasty they were to my mother, who is not mean or nasty, or wasn't back then, you know. And I married Caitlin's dad, Dan,
Right.
in 2010, and I am so blessed with 3 of the most incredible stepdaughters ever.
That's awesome.
And so I just got to say that, live on the air, that I'm just so lucky to have the 3 of you
And
and
we call you Sma.
they do Sma
Ma?
for stepmama. Sma.
Okay.
To their Sma.
Yeah. It's not like smear.
No,
It's
I got it. Sma.
It is Sma. So I'm just very incredibly lucky to have the 3 of you in my life.
Very much.
Yeah, it's nice to have normal kids, some normal kids in the family. It's minor.
Lots of variations on kids. Yeah. And we love all of them.
We do love all of them. So your family goes way back here
Yeah.
in the Eastern Sierra. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I am 6th generation from having family in this area. My son will be 7th generation.
Wow.
My great 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 grandfather was one of the early cartographers in the area, and his daughter moved out here. He moved her out here when she was 16. She lost her mother to a tragic suicide early in her life. That was a combination of having her husband move across the country and being left with a young child. She had also lost 2 young children from early on in their time together, and it was a really incredible story. She wrote a book. Her name is Dr. Nellie. Her name is
Oh,
Helen
that's what
Knight.
this book is.
And so she came to Bishop, where she went to high school, and then she went on to study the medical practice in San Francisco at the San Francisco Toland Hall, which is where I live now. I live in San Francisco, and so it is a really incredible thing to share 2 locations of a place where women in my family have been for over 100 years.
Wow. What
And-
year was she at Bishop High?
So I think that she was at Bishop High in like the 1880s.
Wow.
Because she would have gone to San Francisco in 1890 to study medical school at 18. So it was
That is cool.
It was before the turn of the century. I mean, and this area was completely different. You know, there were lagoons in Bishop, and her father created the second map of Bishop that is like, I think, 8 feet by 4 feet, where he hand painted and drew all of the streets and the lagoons of the subdivision.
There were
of Bishop.
lagoons down here?
There's no dam
Yeah.
control.
Well, no, this was before LAPD.
That's what LADWP. But I mean, there was no dam control, so there would have been flooding and all like literally
Yeah.
where I live.
Yeah.
At times would be flooded. And
Yeah. Yeah. So
I have rivers
this was a very, very lush area. It was a very different area.
Well, when Chalfant wrote his book and they named it Owens Valley, they called this little Switzerland at the time, which tells you how green this was at that time.
Oh, I mean, you know, you have just a very different area.
Yeah.
This episode of This Crazy Life is sponsored by Stacey Does Weddings. Creating a fun and legal wedding ceremonies is a specialty for wedding officiant Stacey Powells Lyster. Her motto is any kind of wedding, any time of the day or night. Stacey will make sure that the culmination of all the wedding planning, the ceremony itself, will be a moment of grace and love, honoring the fact that the two people found each other in this crazy world we live in, falling deeply and madly in love. Be easy as saying, I do. Stacey will perform any ceremony, non-denominational, religious, non-secular, themed weddings, interfaith, hand fasting, and same-sex. Stacey also specializes in last-minute weddings. Call 661-433-9800 or visit her on the web at staceydoesweddings.com.
So before
book
LADWP took
This
over,
was-
this was like, well, I know the Owens Lake was the Owens Lake. It wasn't the Owens.
But I
whatever
don't
it is
want to
right
like totally trash DWP on that. They were
No, it's William
this
Mulholland.
whole
William
area though, the farmers and the citizens were petitioning the government to build dams because they needed to have some control. They couldn't control the creeks and the rivers.
There were, you know,
There were issues.
There were issues with the water control here. However, William Mulholland also
Took it all.
saw the opportunity for LA as a flourishing city
Right.
rise. So,
So
you know,
if
that's
we
another
would've-
story.
we would have controlled the water and flooded the lands where it would and kept it a little greener, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think there would have, you know, been different, probably native practices that could
Probably,
have been
a
used
lot.
a little bit better.
Yeah.
So when was this book written?
This book was written, let's see. Nellie was born to Smith and Olive Peck McKnight in Petrolia, Pennsylvania, December 15th, 1873. This autobiography follows Nellie from happy days on the farm with grandmother McKnight to wretched days in a corset factory.
That was where her
That's where she, oh my God. So you're,
worked, and her mom had a horrible sewing accident, which led her to then later commit suicide because that was one of her passions.
wow. So see, corset factory to a Dakota homestead to Bishop in Eastern California to join her father, and then to a medical school in San Francisco. So yeah, and then she came back to here, and this was written, let's see, Dr. Nellie, A Child Went Forth. Jenny Smith books. We love Jenny Smith. It was written in 1934.
Wow.
It looks like, oh wait, hold on. Helen McKnight, 1873, she died in 1957, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? And so new material.
Buried just down the street. On
Yeah, you found, I
Eastline
would love to
Cemetery.
go see
Right
that.
here.
Yeah, Eastline Cemetery. Her
Yeah,
and her
so-
husband and they lost a child who was 4, in between my great grandmother and her brother.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is from the end, and I saw this. We made our first investment in a home on West Line Street, where the poplar trees marched like soldiers out on the country road that opened on a vista of Mount Tom. The hoary-headed Bignette Peak. Is that Bignette? Benignat? It's a French word.
Work that good for me?
You know what? I'm a writer and I still can't pronounce it. Benignat Peak that watched over the destinies of the town of Bishop. My office was to be in front of our home.
Yeah.
So on West Line Street is where,
Yeah.
oh, I wonder if we can find out where her first home was. You think that's still
I
standing?
don't know if it's still standing. I mean, so much development has happened in the
I wonder if
There's
the,
a few houses that exist and they keep it very, very quiet because they don't want the historical society coming in.
Yeah. there's
Really?
A lot of
So
regulations that have to happen with the historic.
would it have been where the reservation is now,
Mhm.
do you think? Or,
I don't know. I mean, West Line Street, how far do you think did she mention anywhere like how far out of town?
I don't know how
I
far.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's
think
this-
about it, the
I mean,
hospital would be
the cemetery.
down.
Yeah, I mean, the cemetery and the hospital are the two markers that I kind of nowhere. So I don't know.
Huh.
Wow, that is crazy. And I know that there was one point where somebody else in your family, I think it was your mom's grandmother, built what was that lodge up by Lake George?
So the Woods Lodge.
Woods Lodge.
So Dee Dee was her grandmother, my great grandmother. She often would go, and that was where, that side of the family would vacation and help. Yeah, kind of helped steward Lake George as a place of recreation. And recently, I found out that my great grandmother, not Dr. Nellie's dad, had worked in the mines, and while he was living up there, had just lived up the street from our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so.
So wait, where's Woods Lodge?
Woods Lodge is at Lake George up in the
You
Lake
can't get
Basin
there right now. There's still a whole bunch of
I
stuff.
know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, but the mining camps was
Yeah.
where he lived, and we live right down the street off of Mill Street, which was one of the first streets in Mammoth.
Right, and on the property, there's still a rail on the property from where the mine used to send the carts down full of ore.
Wait, at your place?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got some artifacts and stuff.
That is so
Yeah.
cool.
And we're going to be digging up a little bit of. We might find some. You know what? With the property improvement that you guys are doing because of your wedding, we may
unearth some treasures.
unearth some treasures there. When
Well, it was also an early Native American site because there's been a lot of arrowheads. that we found. So
yes.
really honoring the people that were there long before.
Oh yes. I mean, that was a great place for a Native American to have a homestead. Because they were right below the bluffs. And then the creek was just not even a quarter mile away, from there. So I love that your family has so much history.
Yeah, it's a special place.
Yeah, in the Eastern Sierra. And for the wedding, they're doing one of the things they're going to honor in their wedding is the Native Americans and honoring the land.
It's just important to acknowledge the history.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you, and this is for all new mothers there. So honestly, no one's around. No one's going to hear this.
Nobody's going to see this.
No one's going to see this.
Cut this out.
So, because I see exhausted Katelyn. I see, here, can you take him? Because I need to go back to sleep, Katelyn. So,
and she's up anyway.
Sleep deprivation is a weird form of torture. And had I known that when I went into labor, that was the last time I would sleep, I mean, you can't do anything about that then. But
you can never predict how a kid's going to be. Some of them sleep well and some of them don't.
Exactly. It's a wild ride.
Yeah. I mean, he's sleeping a little bit better than he was when you first brought him up, but did he sleep at all last night?
He did have a good long stretch, but because my husband snores and he just recently returned, I did not sleep that well.
Okay.
Have you heard of earplugs?
I had them in.
Yeah, I wear earplugs too.
Oh my God. So how is it everything that were you blindsided by anything? I mean, other than the sleep thing, I mean, how is it being a mom? Because I know that's something that you were a little anxious about before, and she was huge. It was the funniest thing. I mean, she's tiny. No, her belly. She's tiny, and but her belly was huge, and her mom and one of her sisters painted this beautiful mandala.
Oh yeah,
on her belly.
Belly painting.
Yeah,
on the due date.
What do they call that? That dye.
Yeah, it was like face paint things.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got a lot of help. You've got your sisters who adore their nephew, of course, and your mom lives close by. But really, he is all attached to you. It's so funny when she picks him up, he sucks on her chin. It's the funniest thing.
That's why he's like, there's milk here somewhere.
Yeah, close by. So how is it?
It's a really unique journey. And I think that the opportunity to become a mother has been something that I'm extremely grateful for. I think that the ability to bring another life into this world and do my best to set him up for a life of success and know that he's loved and know that he comes from a long line of women of backbones of steel, and of which Dr. Nellie was one of them. I think that it's an incredible thing to be able to be in a position to steward another life into this world. And I really hope that, because I know he will grow up with a very different life than I've had, or that you've had, or that any of us have known, both in the interconnectedness of things, the acceleration of technology, but also the real change of climate and how that will affect, what life is like in his lifetime. And I hope that in his lifetime, he will see more resilient measures, adaptation measures, ways that people are working more with the land, with the environment, rather than against it.
Right.
And I think that, it's just, I am one step in a long step of people who have come before me and will come after me, hopefully. And I just feel very grateful. I just kind of feel like I'm taking it in. I'm just, really just sitting back to be part of it however I can.
Imagine, just because of the time period, could live to 2100. Imagine all the things that you and I have seen in our life. I mean, going to space and all the things that he's going to get
mobile
to.
phones,
I mean, there's
the
going to be
internet.
hardships.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be hardships. There always are.
Yeah.
We have recessions and depressions
But
and stuff.
it's
But imagine, like you said, the hope of if humanity can come together and
Exactly.
love the planet and
the,
fix some of the problems that we have, but even, colonization of different planets and just, I mean, you just never know.
Who knows what's on the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years trajectory. I mean, that's I think the beautiful thing about all of this is I don't think my great grandmother had in her mind what her descendants would experience with, I mean, they were before cars. She lived before cars. And so to then be now where you can, the Eastern Sierras was such a remote place, but now, we can get from the Bay Area to the Eastern Sierras in a matter of hours.
Well, you could fly. And
More
imagine,
an hour.
Imagine even in her profession now, like my sister had a surgery, I think it was in La Jolla. The doctor was in Boston.
This episode of This Crazy Life is also sponsored by Jaspin IT Consultants. Jaspin is trusted by financial firms, hospitals, and small businesses with over 30 years of experience, specializing in computer repair for PC and Mac, managed IT solutions, managed antivirus, servers, virtualization, networking, surveillance solutions, VoIP phone service, and digital signage. We are building a reputation for creating a positive return on investments for our clients. If you are serious about your business success, our team of professionals can get you there. Strategic thinking, personal attention, competitive prices, real-world results. Discover the Jaspin difference. Located at 249 North Main Street in Bishop, California, 760-872-2797, or on the web at www.jaspin.com.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about
exactly
the world and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Katelyn is also, as her sisters are big supporters of anything that has to do with creating a better planet.
Yeah.
For all to live in. So I think you and other mothers like you and other fathers like you who are having kids right now, the kids are lucky to have parents who are going to say, look, this is not infinite. Natural gas is not infinite. Plastic is gotta go.
I mean, that's almost infinite.
Yeah, that's almost
It's
infinite.
in abundance everywhere.
Yeah, and to be able to teach the kids, from the get-go about how important it is to instill them, because it wasn't instilled in me. How important it is to recycle or to, I came from a very throw it away family. Yeah. I came from the family of Hungry Man dinners. My mother hated cooking, and so Hungry Man dinners and that kind of thing. And
everything was disposable at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go into a whole tangent around the waste industry. And
you can.
And
we have.
I think that
we have 10 minutes. So go.
I think eventually one day, like 50 to 100 years from now, the next mining is going to be our landfills.
Right. I mean,
getting those resources back.
Yeah. I think the thing, to go back to the hope and the excited component of things, like in what technologies and also naturologies, in a sense, there are mushrooms that can decompose plastic. There
wait, what?
Yeah, no, there is.
There's mushrooms that can decompose.
I think the natural world still is one of the most amazing things that we can be in reverence of in its adaptation, its resilience, its evolution, its shift. And so, there will be times when we say, can you imagine how they did things back in that time?
In 2023.
And then in the same time, there will be like, and, look at this thing we could have never imagined.
They'll be like, remember the dark ages of recycling and when they actually thought they were saving the planet?
Well, because recycling was a good little thing introduced by the big oil companies to help you consume more plastic.
Yeah.
But imagine.
Yeah. Well, right now, the recycling I've heard it's just a fraud. I mean,
it's less than 8% of plastics are actually recycled.
Well, the problem I heard
Aluminum,
is
glasses.
that one bucket concept where you can throw it all into one container is cross-contaminating and making most of the recycling.
Yeah, and especially in a rural area like this, you have to really acknowledge what gets separated and recycled and dealt with rather than, sending it all off to the landfill. But it's hard, and it's especially hard in rural areas.
Yeah.
I even speak out to the Christian community. They should be recycling more than anything because according to Genesis, it's their job or our job to be good stewards of the planet and to take care of it.
And I think that's, that goes beyond any religious belief.
Exactly.
I think we can all embrace that sense of being stewards.
I just hit that one and hitting a sore spot with them on the whole climate change part of things. But regardless of whether climate is changing or not, it is our job.
Exactly.
To take care of this planet.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can just go back to that one line of being stewards of the planet, I think that's something that we could all get behind.
Well, how long do you think it's going to take before the Society of the Universe is going to come down and say, all right, I've been watching you all for a few hundred years now, and you're not doing what we'd hoped you're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we're going to...
Well, but I mean, what does that even mean? Does that imply that control is outside of ourselves? Because I think that in that kind of self-determined society, I think we have the capacity and capabilities to make the shifts that are needed to make,
I guess I need to step back on my comment there. I guess I wasn't trying to bash on the
No, you were just saying what the Bible...
But what I'm trying to say is they need to get on board with all of this, and everybody needs to work together and stop this whole nonsense about whether it's changing or not changing. We can all agree on one thing. It is our job to take care of this planet.
Absolutely.
And it's time that we stop arguing and fighting about it, get politics out of it, and regardless, work towards a better future.
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the biggest challenges about witnessing the politics in the last several years is how divisive it's become.
And even electric doesn't seem to even, I mean, we talk about how great it is, but the lithium mining and the things that we're doing,
seabed mining,
it's toxic. I mean,
we've
got to find,
yeah.
I don't think there's one answer to this problem.
There's
they keep trying to preach.
There's no silver bullet. It's a symphony of solutions.
Yeah. And even our solar panels are toxic if not recycled properly. I mean,
exactly.
We had a big old talk about that. What was that documentary we watched about the solar panels and what it actually takes to make a solar panel?
I don't remember the name of it, but
Eric told us to watch it. We watched it, and our mouths were hanging.
But I think it was still. But I took a step back from that film because I think it was still just one perspective. So I did a lot of work with. I've done a lot of work with nonprofit and grassroots and philanthropic organizations around climate and how to better understand the relationship between climate and people and planet and an effort. And I think that, a takeaway is, again, there's no silver bullet of solutions. It's a symphony of solutions. And it's also about empowering local and indigenous nations who have had relationships with the earth and how they've worked with the earth for much longer than a colonization perspective. And I think at this point, there's really a need to weave both because there's value in both. There's value in ancient land practices and there's value in technology. There's value in understanding how we can better cultivate the resources in a way that's not detrimental.
I think the profiteering part of it is where the problem comes in.
Absolutely.
It's just like the old mining days. You come in and they'll throw a bond up to clean it up, but it costs more than the bond's worth, so they leave it. And so you have that with the the solar panels. Like if we did things properly,
Yeah.
and we recycled them properly, and there was a plan in place, and you kind of remove the whole profit. Everybody needs to make a living,
Right.
but we don't need to get rich off of it.
Right.
And if we remove that component from it, where we all work together for the common good of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my tirades is that we still import so much from China, but yet it's like we really, if we want to hold our air quality standards, then you either adapt or we're not taking your products anymore.
Right. And it's
Why
also
should we bear the whole burden and let them
absolutely
keep profiting off of us and
but it's
destroying
also
the planet?
Also where we can be creating for ourselves in the United States and create industries that have the ability to be more localized,
Sustainable and independent of.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot to say in a lot of different viewpoints on international trade and how we work together, but again, it goes back to the idea of circular local solutions and how that can be scaled and also decentralized, because I think that's another component too, is that there shouldn't be one central entity or one central language or one central currency that's dominating the planet.
Right.
But that's my little
No, I'm
you.
sticking. I haven't been able to talk to you because there's always a baby crying. You're trying to. Raising a baby and then trying to plan. She's amazing. Trying to plan a wedding.
Yeah.
At the same time has been just interesting to watch her just go through all this machinations with all of this.
Into this conversation, just like I'm for capitalism, but at the same time, I want that that Star Trek society where we all work together for the common good to explore the galaxy, and everything is wonderful.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we could get there
Well,
the way that we are right now.
it's like the
But
next generation.
Yeah, it's teaching the next generation.
I mean, you have a
You're in charge.
You have a grandson, Maeve. You've got you've got a granddaughter.
Yeah.
And it's people like Katelyn and people like you that are going to instill into this new generation what needs to be done. Seriously. Because all of us baby boomers and some of the baby boomers that are in office in this country right now, we're going to die.
Toxic individuality has to end.
We're going to.
I think so too. And I think that's the other part of it too, is that there's so much that gets brought into conversations and relationships that isn't about the fundamental point. I think fundamental point is there is an issue or an upset, and the way to move forward isn't about finding your personal relationship to the issue. It's about finding solutions and pathways regardless of your personal viewpoint on it. And I think the ability to step back and separate feelings from action is going to be really key as we continue to move forward, because it's not about a personal attack. We shouldn't be personally attacking each other. We should be understanding what the issues that are affecting all of us, because we don't live in a separate entity. We are all interconnected both to each other and the planet.
Yeah.
Any parting words? Congratulations.
Dr. Nellie's great granddaughter is related to me. And this is the book that you can probably get at the Twin Lakes Gallery. I know that. And through the Jenny Smith Publishing Collection.
It's an amazing book. I would highly recommend it.
I'm definitely going to get it.
Didn't I get you and your sister as the book for like one holiday or something?
Yeah, we've all got first editions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty incredible. And you're an incredible human being. And I'm just so honored to call you my family stepdaughter. And thank you for being here on Slightly Filtered.
Fun.
And I told you it was a surprise.
Yeah.
I told you it's a surprise. It's always a surprise when we have family members on television. I think this is the first because your dad doesn't want to be on television. He doesn't like being in front of the camera, but he is really good on the radio.
But he did sit behind the camera for us and babysat it during.
He did
15 minutes of Mammoth.
He did babysit the cameras. We got to thank you, Dan Lyster, for babysitting the camera. So I'm Stacey Powells.
I'm Jason Brown.
And this is Slightly Filtered.
I love it when a plan doesn't come together.